What's up everyone? Today I want to talk about rituals in Path of Exile 2, and I want to do a full guide on how to go from never really doing rituals to farming them effectively. We're going to talk about your first audience with the king. We're going to talk about setting up a strategy to farming them successfully. So getting your first precursors and setting up the towers, how to set up your atlas tree, and some tips to make sure that we're having the highest chance possible to get these big chase items while we're doing rituals. Because if you hit those big chase items, if you get an audience with a king, that's like 6 divines. If you get some of the rare omens, that's like 10 to 20 divines. So I wanted to make this just to give you the best chance possible to set up your map, to farm these, and make sure that you're having the chance for these to appear in the shop as high as possible, and you're farming them correctly so when they do appear, you have enough tribute to get them. So let's get straight into this, and if you do find this useful, if you learn anything new, do consider subscribing to the channel. I make a ton of PoE 2 guides, but let's get straight into it. Okay, so first let's talk the basics of, how we farm rituals and how we progress them to be better than what they are when you first start. So I'll just do this. So if you've never really tried to farm them, rituals look like this. So these small red horned icons on your map. And when you go in there, there will be a number of ritual circles on the map. When you defeat monsters inside these ritual circles, they will be revived when you click the ritual and you fight them again. When you move to the next circle, you defeat all the monsters inside that circle and then click that ritual. It will revive all the monsters you just defeated and any monsters you defeated from any other ritual inside that map. So what you want to do is make sure that you're fighting as many monsters as possible inside the circle, and you're fighting in the bigger circles first. So you want to, if you find a ritual and there's like 3 mobs in it, don't activate that one at first. Activate that last once you've got all of the big juiced circles first. That's going to get you as much as possible. So the number one thing I would say before we even think about, chasing these big items is setting up our map correctly before we do rituals. Because it's not like a breach where even a bad breach is still pretty good. With rituals, that's not really the case. If you were to go do a ritual, say you were to go do, this ritual over here with no affixes on, right? You're going to do it. You're going to have a few mobs in each ritual. You're going to get to the end and you might have like 800 tribute. And you go look at the different favors in the shop and you can't afford anything. Now, you might have an audience of the king appear there, or an omen that's like 3,000 or 2,000 tribute, and you can't buy it. And that is really disheartening. Or maybe even you don't even have enough to defer it, and you just let it go. You just let 6 divines go, or 10 divines go. So before you really start farming rituals, I would try and set your map up like this to make sure the ones we're doing, if we do get something good, we're in a good place to actually get it. So let's talk about that first. So when we set up our map, you want to be farming in an area with lots of towers. Unlike, some of the things, I say rituals are very dependent on the towers. So you can see here, I'm farming in this cluster right now. I moved into here. There's like 4 towers. I farmed around here. And then I moved down to this cluster, activate these towers, up to this one, activate these towers. And you kind of move from cluster of towers to cluster of towers to make sure that, you're carrying forward as many of these bonuses as possible. So what I would suggest is start somewhere like this, where you see a cluster of towers and work towards that. You can see more in the distance and they'll start to overlap. Similarly, if you just pick another random location, you can see here, we've got 3 towers. That would be fine. We've got some more down here, another 3. I'd be looking for things like that to start moving over to set up a good system for farming the rituals. Now, once you get to the towers, you need to put in a precursor tablet. So when we're setting up our maps, we want to get things like this, where we're getting a lot more ritual items. The favors are better, and we can reduce the cost of the favors, things like that. But we also just want to get more magic monsters and more rare monsters in our map, because when we do that, that means that we have more rare and magic monsters in the ritual, and when we defeat them, they will revive, and we get more tribute from defeating them again. So this is something we want to do when setting up. I will say ritual precursor tabs are so frustratingly rare. And if you're a very casual player, you might never have seen one. So here's my precursor stash tab, and you can see I've got everything but the ritual ones. I've got every event but ritual, because as soon as I find it, I use it, and I want another one straight after. So here's a trick to get more of these ritual precursors. Let me just do this. Okay, so if you've been farming deliriums, if you've been farming these deliriums, you've got these distilled emotions, you can use these to increase your chances of getting precursors from the things you're doing. So if you have any of these here, you can use it, or you go to Alva, you can go currency exchange, you can say, I want distilled disgust. I have, exalted, and right now they're around 5 exalteds for 1. So you can just, 5 for 11, place order, a 2 for 11, just like that. And then all you do with these is you right click them, you put them into this instilling window like this, and then you could just use 1 if you want, or you can use 3, and you put your waystone in, and I'll just hide my face for a sec, and you can see here, one of these gives 30% increased precursor tablets found in the area. If you put 3 in, you have a 90% increased precursor tablets found in the area. So you could just, I'll just do it to show you. You can instill your waystone like this, and now you can see on the waystone, it has a 90% increased chance for precursor tablets in the area. You can then go into a ritual map, and as you're defeating monsters in the rituals, you have a 90% increased chance to find ritual precursor tablets. That chance is still low, it's still hard to find them, but it's almost doubling your chance. So I'd say this is definitely worth doing. It's why I never have any, because I'm constantly using them to farm ritual tablets. Okay, so now let's talk about your first audience with the king. So as you're farming these rituals, you have a very small chance to get an audience with the king as an item. And you can grab this at the end of the ritual, you can buy it with your tribute, and then you can go and fight the audience with the king. If you have been really unsuccessful and you just can't find one, you can also just grab them from the exchange, from Alva. You can just say, I want an audience with the king. And they're like 6 divines right now, which is kind of rough. But I will say, if you are able to make divines, if you're able to farm something else like breaches, I think it's faster to farm breaches first until you have enough to buy an audience with the king, because farming without an audience with the king already is kind of punishing. And I'll show you why. If you go on the Atlas skill tree and you go into the ritual section, if you put the points in here, you have this, look. Ritual favors in your maps have a 50% increased chance to contain omens. And then your second points can go into here. Ritual favors in your maps have a 50% increased chance to contain an audience with the king. So farming, it's kind of like, it's kind of gatekept. It's kind of like catch-22. Because if you don't have an audience with the king, your farming is quite slow, but you can't get an audience with the king without already having a few points in to make it easier. So I will say, if you can afford, 6, 12 divines to do 2 runs of audience with the king, that's going to help you massively before you start farming. If not, do it the hard way. So once you have your audience with the king, you go into your map, you click the home, and near where you first started, there will be this realm gate. You go and put your audience with the king in the realm gate, the same way you would a breachstone, and this will load you in, it will give you portals to the audience with the king. And this is a 3-stage fight, but I would say this is easier than, I personally think it's easier than the breachstone boss. I think it's easier than the Citadel boss, Pinnacle boss. I think it is one of the easier bosses, especially early on, if you know what you're doing, if your build is okay. I'd say it's one of the easier ones. And when you go in here, you also have multiple revives, especially like early on, if it's your first one, you have multiple revives, so you can learn it a little bit. Your main goals in here are, in the first phase, is to take down the towers. He'll summon these towers on the pedestals. Just go and take down these stick towers, because they can they put debuffs on you. Take those out and just nail the boss. Keep him on lockdown. Avoid all the things jumping around you, all the different things that can do curse damage. Avoid them and just apply damage to him. That will get the first phase done. The second phase, you follow these wisps around. There's like these little blue wisps. Follow those around. It's like a maze. And that will take you back to the first zone. The boss will be there again. And again, it's the same thing. Just nail him. There's some additional mechanics as you get later on, such as he'll put a debuff on you. You've got to stand still. He'll summon these frogs. You've got to avoid those. And there's more of these towers. But generally, just apply pressure and get it done as fast as possible. There's a lot of chaos damage. There's a lot of debuffs that go on you here. So I would say the faster you can finish this fight, the better. And the boss himself can drop some really good omens, and he can drop the really rare ingenuity belt, which sells for tons of divines and is probably like the meta belt for most builds right now. So that's the audience with the king. Again, I would say try and get in here as early as possible. I try and get one of these if you've got the divines, and just get it done for the points. Every time you beat him, he drops the book and you get 2 points to use in your Atlas tree. Now, I do want to talk about a rumor. There is a big rumor that rituals, that the audience with the king and these high omens can only drop in level 80 maps. They can only appear in the favors of the ritual shops if you're on a level 80 map. Don't know if it's true. I've only ever found them on level 80 maps, and I've heard lots of other people having the same thing. I don't know if it's true. So just in case, I will show you how to farm level 80 maps, time and time again, just in case you're also superstitious. So a general map, like a normal map with a ritual on, is 79. So if we put a tier 15 waystone in, you can see here, this map is going to be monster level 79. So tier 15 gets you a 79. The way to do a level 80 map is to use a tier 16 waystone. So we can val, there we go, first one. So you can val your tier 15s and they have a chance of turning into a 16. And then you can use a 16 and now it's a level 80 map. You can do that. That's one way. Another way you can do it is you can do maps that are corrupted. So you can see here, this map here has corruption, has this red, like, let me take that away, has this red image. And if we go here, this red image is corruption and it says corrupted areas do this. And the area has +1 to monster level. So if you use a tier 15 waystone on that map, that would be a level 80 map. That's another way to do it. The third way to get level 80 maps is a lot more consistent, but also a lot more work. So yeah, the third way involves this atlas tree here. This is the map boss atlas tree, map boss skill point tree. And if you level this up, you can get to this node here. Areas with map bosses are irradiated, which means they have +1 to monster level. Now to do this, it explains what you do here. Defeat a map boss in a level 79 plus map, and then you can defeat the pinnacle of the flame to get 2 points. And you can, after that, it's defeat a map boss on an 80 map, defeat a map boss on an 81 map, things like that. And that's how you work your points up to here. And once you get this, any map boss map will be +1 level, which means you can then synergize, put in map boss precursors, which are the overseer ones, I believe. Yeah, the overseers, which will add bosses to maps around you. So you can use those combined with your rituals to get maps like this. I mean, it's not got a ritual on, but you can see there it's got a boss. And then on top of the boss, it has the little irradiation, which means it's got +1 level. So if you can combine that with your rituals, I've probably done most of them. You can see here, there's some here. This one here, look, it's got a ritual, it's got a map boss, and it's a +1 level. And all these down here, look, they're +1, things like that. So that will definitely help get all of your maps up to level 80. Again, could be all superstition. Really curious what your experience has been. Have you found any audience with the king below level 80? I haven't, so I'm still superstitious, but yeah. Other than that, we just need to quickly talk about omens. There's not a great deal to say on omens. They are what they are. We go to here. This is what the omens look like. You will find tons of them, and they come in different rarities. So they come in different usefulness and value. So some of the easy ones that you'll see a lot of here, while this item is in your inventory, your next regal orb will add OD prefixes, things like this. You just take them into your inventory and right click them, and then they will activate. So if we take like your next regal orb will only add suffixes. So regal orbs are what turn an item into a magic. So if we were to say, grab an item here, just grab some staffs here. We've got a staff here. If we wanted to only add a suffix, we would right click this, use the regal orb, and now it's added a suffix being, up there. So that's how these omens work. And again, you're going to get loads and loads of omens that do loads of different things, but you're looking for the chase omens, the really good omens. You can see them on Alva. You just go to, omens here, and it's this cluster at the bottom mostly. You can see Dextral Annulment is 15 divine orbs. If you find one of these, it's 15 divine orbs. If you go to the Sinstral Annulment, it's 20 divine orbs. The Dextral Erasure is 15 divine orbs. So yeah, you can just look through, and it's kind of like most of these ones at the bottom that talk about, it's the ones that Whittling is a good one as well. Yeah, 13 divine orbs. It's basically the ones that do the very last parts of crafting. So if you've got like a almost perfect item and you're looking for that last thing, so this one here, look, Chaos Orbs will remove the lowest level modifier. It's getting a really good item to be perfect. They're the things that are selling for like crazy amount of divines. But that's it for this ritual farming guide. I wanted to make this because I've seen a lot of people talk about rituals and saying they're useless, saying they're pointless to farm. And if you're having bad luck, they really, really are. They're very high risk in that if you're not hitting those really big chase items, you probably don't have anything to show for it. You're not juicing your maps like you are the breachers to get loads of divines. You're not chasing really rare uniques. You're just looking for the audience with the king and the really rare omens. And if they're not dropping, you're not really getting anything in the hours and hours of work you're doing. So yeah, I wanted to do this to hopefully give you a better chance. Unfortunately, it is a little bit blocked by, those first few Atlas points, and getting those does massively increase your chances. So hopefully you can drop a few divines and get a head start there. If not, it is a fair bit of work to work on this. But once you get to a point where you can farm rituals and you're dropping Audience with the Kings, you're dropping these omens, and you're getting these massive big hits of like 6 divines, it is worth it. It does feel very rewarding. So yeah, I hope this has helped. If you've learned anything new, if you found it useful, let me know in the comments. If the level 80 map thing is a big ruse and I've wasted all my time talking about it, let me know in the comments. But that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the style of video, do consider subscribing for more. But that's it from me. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.